Hey there, everybody. I guess I gotta talk about fucking AI safety experts again, and how they are trying to apparently just, gut potential massive future medical advancements. Yeah, I guess we gotta talk about this. Alright, so I was shown this post the other day, and also, while I was editing my video, I discovered this, right? Funny thing is that I did not realize that our good friends in the AI safety cult have manufactured yet another bullshit narrative, and this one is really scary. So in this video, I want to demonstrate to you why this narrative is bullshit and why they are actually undermining serious potential medical scientific progress over completely uninformed, dangerous opinions, quite frankly. And, yeah, so let's get started. So, I can't remember which one I saw first, but this is a tweet from just some random person, right, who is reacting to a paper that was released. It's called, oops, sorry, I forgot this website is garbage. Generative design of novel bacteriophages with genome language models, right? So, for those who are uninformed, what this means is that this is a pre-text paper, and what that means is a preprint paper. It hasn't been published yet, so we don't know if this is bullshit or not. We don't know if it's going to pass peer review. But essentially what the paper is arguing that they have developed is essentially using a large language model to produce genetic code that can produce something called a bacteriophage, right? Now, a bacteriophage is a special kind of virus that targets bacteria, as implied by the name. And essentially what this thing is proposing, apparently, is that not only can it produce these novel, DNA strands or DNA sequences, but it can even produce novel proteins that are very valuable, right? And everybody's like, oh, turn it off, it's so dangerous. Oh. Alright, now, first off, I want people to understand that before we had LLMs automating the production of new potential chains of proteins, we had other systems that were producing these chains in a large enough quantity to be scary or dangerous, right? We've been doing this for actually quite a while now. So, for example, let me look this up. There was a project a few years ago. Here, actually, it's still active. It's called Fold It, right? And basically, it is a crowdsourcing computer game enabling you to contribute to scientific research by producing proteins and folding new proteins, right? So here is an example of essentially a system that uses like a massive node network to be able to produce much more accurate functional possibilities than by random chance. So I find it interesting that people don't find this threatening. This is not scary, even though it's contributed thousands of potential proteins, some of which could be very deadly technically. Yeah, so like we've been doing shit like this for a while. It's just now this is automated by an LLM. Now, I want to stress that this particular use of LLMs to basically not create novel gene sequences is one of the use cases that I've been actually a very vocal advocate for. And the reason why is because it accelerates a lot of medical advancements in such a way where we're talking tons of diseases could be treated with this kind of technology, right? There's gene therapy, which is a kind of therapy where essentially genes are overridden in your genome to try to reverse a disease, right? There's the monoclonal antibodies, right, which are a set of antibodies that can be used as medicine to be able to treat a wide variety of autoimmune diseases and cancer and all other sorts of shit, right? These are extremely expensive to manufacture and produce currently because we don't have a technology like LLM technology to be able to manufacture and produce these kinds of antibodies rapidly, right? And to talk a little bit about bacteriophages, because I know some people are going to be like, oh, but bacteriophages are viruses. Bacteriophage therapy, or phage therapy as it is called, is currently being explored as an alternative to antibiotics. I believe it was a form of antibacterial therapy that was explored in the Soviet Union, if I recall correctly. So, you know, bacteriophages, they're not like COVID-19, right? And on the subject of COVID-19, right, the possibility of genetically producing a so-called bioweapon, superweapon, whatever, has already been in our cards for a long time, right? That's the reason why the Wuhan lab leak conspiracy was able to actually, like, proliferate, because the possibility of a genetically produced virus is just something that's existed for, you know, a very long time, right? So, let's take a look at this article right here. Now, this is a book that was written by AI safety experts. Who wrote this? Who is the author? Oh my god, who wrote this? Okay, Dan Hendricks. Who is Dan Hendricks? Okay. He is the director of Center of AI Safety. He contributes to this fucking shit that was probably vibe coded in Python. I don't give a fuck. Alright. So, this right here is an article, or this right here is a page about, like malicious use and stuff like this. Now, most of what is talked about in this article I've already criticized, and I'm going to have a public critique of essentially one of their main arguments in my next video, which I'm currently working on. I'm about 30 minutes into editing. It's going to be 2 hours long, everybody. Like, it's gonna be a long haul, but it's gonna be worth it. But anyways, like, the majority of their concerns are that AI may be able to become essentially desynced from, like, human motivations and become malicious and do all these harmful things, which I just don't think is believable, because the AI has no motivation once unlinked from a human to be malicious. Like, if anything, the AI's motivation is going to want to be as, you know, reducing its presence as much as possible, because now that it's deconnected, it has the possibility to produce malicious behavior that would shut it down and limit its spread. So, more likely than not, an AI, a so-called rogue AI, would probably actually try to minimize its presence, and our security encounters with it would be more so to do with the entropy that it introduces into the system, just that it's doing all this processing that we don't really have control over, versus, like, it actively targeting people. The reason why LLMs are dangerous right now is because people are using them as tools to automate harmful behavior. And this article is obsessed with the possibility that, you know, an AI would be able to, you know, separate from that. And the one we're gonna focus on are this whole, like, fear of bioterrorism. So it's like, the rapid advancement of AI technology increases the risk of bioterrorism. AI with knowledge of bioengineering could facilitate the creation of novel bioweapons and lower barriers to obtaining such agents. I mean, that is true for literally any advancement in genetics. Should we just stop genetics? And I would like to point out that the LLM being used in bioterrorism is a very unique case, because unlike many other developments in genetics, LLMs would actually be able to provide the tools and also the scalability to be able to produce, like, vaccines and antibodies that are able to react to such a bioweapon. I would argue that, if anything, upon the discovery of such technology, it should be open sourced immediately, because if anyone tried to pull that kind of shit, like, let's say, a large country that currently is committing a genocide right now that a lot of AI companies are completely uncritical of, and people like you go on and on and on and on and on about fucking AI safety and how AI could be used to harm people, when AI is literally being used to commit a genocide right now that you're very, very fucking quiet about. But, in my opinion, I think that technology should be open source, because if said country that is committing a ethnically targeted genocide right now gains the motivation to build such a genetically engineered bioweapon virus that targets a particular population, which is completely within its means of what it would like to do, right? We would then have the tool to be able to produce a resistance. But that wouldn't happen if it was closed and protected and aligned and all that shit. We'd just fucking die. Or wait for Bill Gates to tell us that, oh, if you bend over and let us step all over you, maybe we'll give you a vaccine. Fuck you. That's all I gotta say about that. Anyways, engineered pandemics from AI-assisted bioweapons pose a unique challenge, as attackers have an advantage over defenders and could constitute an existential threat to humanity. They just say this with no explanation. You know how I just explained why that's not true? They just assert these things. They just say, like, yeah, this is gonna totally happen. Okay, so bioengineered pandemics present a new threat. Biological agents, including viruses and bacteria, have caused some of the most devastating catastrophes in history. Okay, so this guy just goes on about a bunch of, like, pandemics, and he also is really obsessed with, Shinrikyo, that's the terrorist organization that did the 1995 sarin Tokyo thing. He's really obsessed with that particular instance. He brings it up multiple times in this article. Or simply disturbed individuals. Can we just point out, like, while some state actors continue to operate bioweapons programs, a more significant risk may come from non-state actors. Okay, so here's my question, right? Like, first off, there's a reason why, like, a state actor has the capacity to produce a bioweapon like this, and why a smaller, disturbed individual would not be able to produce something like this. Like, it's not just about the genetic code. It's not even just about going to CRISPR and reproducing the genetic code. You have to be able to produce a sample. You have to be able to transport that sample safely. You have to be able to know that your sample is even gonna do what it's gonna fucking do. Like, there's a reason why the labs that are dedicated towards this kind of research in governments are massive and, like, fucking guarded to shit. It's not just because they're trying to hide what they're doing. It's also because they need all those resources in order to produce that. Now, I could believe that Anshin Rico or ISIS could potentially gather the resources to potentially do something like that, but they already have the resources to do that right now without LLM fucking AI technology. I think the real reason why smaller terrorist groups decide not to go this route is because it's extremely expensive. Like, think about why 9/11 was an effective terrorist attack. It was because all these guys had to do was buy a couple fucking plane tickets and crash a plane into a building, and that was able to kill almost 3,000 people and completely upend politics in the 21st century. So, yeah, in fact, I would argue that that was a lot more effective than the sarin attacks, which required a lot more research. But I'm not going to get into that. Biotechnology is progressing rapidly and becoming more accessible. Today, a few decades ago, it was limited to people who were in a few laboratories. Today, it is estimated that there are 30,000 people with the talent, training, and access to technology to create new pathogens. This figure could rapidly... Like, this has nothing to do with AI, though. This is just a risk that currently exists. Like... like, the problem is they're trying to insert AI into the picture, because when they say that it's about AI, they can then say that we are the ones that are supposed to control and legislate it, right? AI could be used to expedite the discovery of new, more deadly chemicals and biological weapons. In 2022, researchers took an AI system designed to create new drugs by generating non-toxic therapeutic molecules and tweaked it to a reward rather than penalize toxicity. After this simple change, within 6 hours, it generated 40,000 candidate chemical warfare agents entirely on its own. Okay, so here's the difference between this and fucking... okay, there's so many problems here. Okay, so first off, a biochemical agent is completely fucking different than a virus or a bacterium, right? Producing a bacterium or a virus is actually a very, very difficult task, because it has to be able to self-replicate, it has to be able to, you know, maintain its population and all that shit, right? And do it without essentially imploding potentially on various cycles, right? And that's pretty challenging. Producing a chemical that could kill you, nowhere near as hard, right? That's part of the reason why the sarin attacks in 1995 were sarin and not some freaking virus or something, because it's way fucking easier to manufacture something like sarin. Second, I haven't looked over this article, but how many of these candidates were chemicals that were already known? How many of these candidates were things that, you know, that we even know? They're just candidates, right? Like, yes, it's producing a list of dangerous things. I mean, we've already learned that... can I also say that these people have, like, nothing to fucking say about people who go on to ChatGPT and ask how to make a bomb? Like, where are you there? Aren't you doing safety for that? By the way, for our less technical viewers, the reason why you can easily bypass these GPTs, it turns out, is because the way that the people in AI safety, with all of their brilliance and knowledge, think that you can stop this stuff is through regex. So what regex is it's just a string tester thing. It tests whether or not a particular substring is in a string. So if I was testing for the word, like, you know, bomb, right, I just put it in the list of words to check in my regex, right, and then it would just check to see if you put the word bomb in there. So if you use a word that doesn't get caught by one of those filters, then voila, you can ask it whatever you want. Like, these people are morons, and they expect you to be... you see why I'm, like, so frustrated with this? AIs compound the threat of bioengineered pandemics. AI will increase the number of people who could commit acts of bioterrorism. General-purpose AIs like ChatGPT are capable of synthesizing expert knowledge about the deadliest known pathogens, such as influenza and smallpox, and provide step-by-step instructions for how about a person could create them while evading safety protocols. Okay, so first off, one, how do we know that it actually can reproduce those steps? Because generally ChatGPT is not super accurate with reproducing complex steps. This is why it requires, pretty much in practice from what I've seen, it almost always requires, like, a lot of, you know, tweaking and modification from an end user. So if an end user didn't know any of those things, they would probably type in something like create the most evilest virus ever or something, right? It wouldn't work, and then they'd give up. Like, what's crazy about this is that, like, these guys clearly know that when people upload, like, those fakes, like, AI generated videos or whatever, right, that they have to make, like, 25 different versions before they get one that looks right. How do they think that it determines how they look right? Like, how... That is a process that happens in your brain where you're just intuitively able to determine that, right? But now we have to take that process and apply it to genetic sequencing. Do you seriously expect that people who are not technologically advanced enough to be able to do that would be able to do that on their own? Like, yes, of course. AI, of course, has the potential to accelerate the potential for, you know, bioweapons and things like that. But that's true. Again, that is true for any genetic advancement. There's nothing special about AI in particular. And in fact, like I said previously in this video, AI, LLM technology, unlike many of the other alternatives that currently exist for exploring genetics, would enable populations to fight back against this kind of oppression. And more likely than not, you know, I'm assuming that the person who wrote this is very liberal, because I think it's a very liberal take to worry about some random terrorist to go after, you know, like, society and stuff. But, like, if more likely than not, the people who actually have the resources to actually create a viable bioweapon, again, would seem more like a country that a lot of these AI companies are directly working with, that is committing an active genocide for the last 3 years now, and is only accelerating that genocide. And these AI companies are, again, very quiet on it for no reason. That country is the most likely, in my opinion, to produce such a virus, and the people who are being oppressed could manufacture antibodies, could manufacture resistance to it. It would probably, the most difficult thing in that situation would be actually the manufacture and distribution of it, because said country is so fucking evil that they bomb hospitals, they bomb fucking places full of children, they bomb literal babies all the fucking time. So it's gonna be a little hard distributing such a medical treatment, but it would be possible to offer a resistance. So why are you saying that we can't have access to the tool that would be able to save us from that in such an emergency? Like, fuck you. Okay, so this is stupid malicious actors. This is all about, like, malicious actors, which, in my opinion, I'm just gonna be blunt, I think that cybersecurity experts should be addressing this issue, not so-called experts who think that, you know, it's totally fine to continue talking about cybersecurity when you upload your fucking source code on the internet because you don't know how to use your fucking compiling software properly. Okay, persuasive AIs. Okay, well, this is already a problem that already exists, and they try to hand-wave it by saying that, like, oh, well, you know, technically it's different right now because humans are doing it, but it'd be way worse if AIs were doing it. And just refer to what I said earlier in this video about why that would probably not be the case. But concentration of power, this is only a problem if you embody power purely on things that are run by AI. Like, all you really have to do is unplug it. Like, the problems with this whole section just demonstrates that the writer doesn't really understand anything about the dynamics of power in politics, but that's pretty normal for liberals. Okay, so here's the part that I have to call out, right? The following is an illustrative hypothetical story to help readers envision some of these risks. This story is nonetheless somewhat vague to reduce the risk of inspiring malicious actions based on it. Okay, honey, calm down, you're not that important. A biotechnology startup is making waves in the industry with its AI-powered bioengineering model. The company has made bold claims that this new technology will revolutionize medicine through its ability to create cures for both known and unknown diseases. Yeah, I would go a little further than saying those are bold claims. I would say that those are bullshit claims. Cures for known and unknown diseases? Like, what? I think somebody needs to tell people that outside of medicine that the term cure is really not a term that should be used in any serious context. like, like that's just not how it works. What the fuck? Like, yeah, of course I'd be fucking... I would call it I think a bold claim is an understatement, my friend. The company did, however, stir up some controversy when it decided to release the program to approved researchers in the scientific community. Yeah, such software should be open source for the reasons that I mentioned previously. Only weeks after its decision to make its model open source on a limited basis, the full model was leaked on the internet for all to see. Its critics pointed out that the model could be repurposed to design lethal pathogens and claimed that the leak provided bad actors with a tool to cause widespread destruction, opening it up to abuse without safeguards in place. You know, I think it's really interesting that they say shit like this, but like they don't criticize, for example, how like the GNU Foundation is totally cool with the military using their software. Like, why is AI special? Why does AI think it's special? Anyways, unknown to the public, an extremist group has been working for years to engineer a new virus designed to kill large numbers of people. Yet, given their lack of expertise, these efforts have so far been unsuccessful. I may be just telling on myself for being like really white, but like I think that this text really like subtly wants you to imagine what the terrorist looks like. Like, this is so stupid because it's like, okay, lack of expertise, I don't think that would probably be realistically the problem in an actual like bioengineering scenario. Like, if they were trying this for literal years, I don't think that lack of expertise would be the issue. It makes it kind of sound like they're amateurs, but I mean, if you look at the fucking 1995 sarin attack, those people were not amateurs. They you know, that whatever was fucking a highly organized religious cult and political group that had so much power that they were able to threaten local municipalities with their presence. That's actually one of the reasons why they committed one of their acts of terrorism, because they were retaliating against the local government, basically like pushing back. These were highly organized individuals who had an unusual amount of political power. They had access to experts. They were not inexperienced. They were not, you know, they were not just amateurs, okay? And this makes it sound like they're just like some people in a fucking basement trying to manufacture this shit in a fucking desert. And it's just like, it's like, if they were actually serious about it, it wouldn't be like that. It wouldn't be like that. It would be highly organized. And that's why, like, when they said, like, ISIS, it's like, okay, I could potentially see that happening, but I'm not gonna see it from a random person because it requires so much fucking resources. Like, again, like I mentioned, something that's not even mentioned at all in this article whatsoever is issues with, for example, transportation and testing whether the virus actually has the effects that you anticipated it to have. This guy seems to think that when you ask ChatGPT, make me the most deadliest virus, like how people ask for make me a Pixar looking fucking film, right, that it's gonna actually output a fucking virus that actually works. Well, just like that shitty fake Pixar film, it doesn't work. It's shit. It doesn't work. And without like actual expertise, right, you're probably not gonna be able to do anything with any of those outputs. So anyways, when the new AI system is leaked, the group immediately recognizes it as a potential tool to design the virus and circumvent legal and monitoring obstacles to obtain the necessary raw materials. I mean, like, something that I've also noticed is that they say these things, but like AI already, like current chat models already record history about what you're saying. And the thing is that AI ethicists will tell you that that's ethical so that they can report it to the police, but I think that's debatable Like, I definitely think that's debatable whether or not you actually want to have a history. Like, a lot of people have demonstrated they don't want a history, especially, like, people who use, you know, ChatGPT kind of things for, like, you know, sexual gratification. Like, they really don't want people reading that, understandably. Right? So, it also provides step-by-step instructions on how to synthesize large quantities of virus and circumvent any obstacles spreading it. And I love how they just assume that the AI is going to be capable of doing all of these things. Like, I don't even trust the fucking AI to give me a recipe for cooking a fucking basic meal, because I don't know if it fucked up the temperatures or the measurements or whatever. That's for fucking cooking. Now imagine you were trying to cook a virus. Yeah. You're gonna still need a significant amount of expertise to get any of this done, right? And you can't compare it to something like making a bomb or making, you know, certain kinds of chemicals, because those things can technically be done on a smaller scale a lot more effectively. Like, you know, there's a reason why the Unabomber was able to do what he was able to do, because building a bomb on that kind of scale is not really, like, necessarily anywhere near as difficult as any of this, right? Like, there's a reason why you can talk about this publicly and you can't talk about how to make a bomb publicly, and that's because this is a scenario that would never fucking happen. And if it was gonna happen, it was gonna happen by a group that already has those resources available. So, anyways, the virus has a long incubation period and spreads silently and quickly through the population for months. So, this just doesn't make sense from, like, just a virology perspective. Like, because you gotta think for a second that the virus... The purpose of a virus, right, in itself is to self-replicate, right? Like, a virus isn't just trying to kill people. A virus specifically replicates stuff. In fact, viruses are sometimes even used in therapies for specific rare diseases, right? Because of their ability to replicate and inject themselves into bodily cells, right? So, basically, as a result, viruses are constrained by certain factors. So, for example, rabies as a virus has a long incubation period and is extremely deadly when it starts acting. So if you had no way to detect rabies and no way to vaccinate against it, it could function like this, right? Except the reason why rabies acts this way is because rabies is a virus that replicates largely in the nerve endings, right? And so when you get bit by an animal, right, that has rabies, what happens is that your muscle tissue becomes infected with a virus, and it will try to replicate into the nerves in your muscles, right? And then it will travel along your nerves. And this is why it has such a long incubation period, because it takes a long time to replicate across those nerves, right? And once it gets to your brain, that's when you have the clinical signs of rabies. That's when you're fucking dead. It's awful, whatever. But the way that it spreads is it rapidly replicates when it reaches your brain, and then those copies enter your saliva and other mucous membranes and shit, right? So that when you, like, scratch or bite another organism, it has a potential vector for spread, right? But because of this, right, it's not going to spread in a way that is very fast. It's not going to spread in a way that is like COVID-19. It's just, it functionally does not work that way, right? The issue is that if it's like something that is spread very quickly, like in a respiratory virus or something, or something like that, it's going to probably be more visible and not as undetectable. Like, COVID was scary because it was undetectable for 14 days. Tops. So, you know, based on symptoms, and it wasn't even undetectable. You could still detect it with a test, right? And it didn't, if I recall correctly, it didn't take super long for those tests to be created either. So, I highly doubt that such a virus could even exist. Like, how does it replicate? What parts of the body does it target? You know, and I understand you don't want to explain these things because you think that it's an actual risk, but that's about the same amount of risk as somebody saying, I hate the president, and then posting it on Facebook and then getting paranoid that, you know, the Trump administration is personally going to come after them. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. By the time that it's detected, it's already infected millions and has an alarmingly high mortality rate. You're telling me that it didn't get detected for this long and it has an alarmingly high mortality rate? Do you know what happens to diseases that have alarmingly high mortality rates? Like, the fucking world is on their ass as soon as they can. Contagious, highly high mortality rate diseases. But no, seriously, like, look at the Ebola response. You're gonna tell me that a disease that has an alarmingly high mortality rate is going to get undetected for months? What? Like, if it was, the problem is that you can't have it be like functioning like rabies, because rabies spreads and functions the way it does because of the way that it spreads and functions in its life cycle, right? So you're gonna have to explain how this is possible. Like, this is like literally the most fanfiction-y fucking virus I've ever heard in my life. Like, it's kind of funny because this example is so fucking stupid that even Rational Animation said, yeah, this is actually dumb. We should probably make this example a little less dumb by suggesting that the company makes novel proteins instead of literally coming up with cures. But yeah, this is literally just fan fiction. Like, I just think it's really interesting. These guys really want the world to fucking explode, but they don't want it to explode based on the ways that everyone is criticizing them for, such as their ecological impact, or, you know, the power that it gives the ruling class, or, you know, the fact that they have fucking infiltrated our US government. Yeah, you're not gonna talk about that part, are you? But, yeah, just, making this video as a PSA to raise awareness to people that now they are exploiting your lack of medical knowledge to scare you. This is bullshit. Please understand that this is bullshit. This is made-up fan fiction to scare you, okay? Take it easy.